Very good. Give me one more, big guy. We'll take a look at that one as you go grab the driver. Sound good, my man?
Yep. I hit a bunch of ground that time.
You did. Let's take a look.
Came down on it a little too much.
Well, I think your low point was a little off there. That's okay. We'll work on it.
Why can't you just practice?
All right. Let's take a look at the camera. See how we did there. Still need to figure out why that's not going all the way through. Okay, but we can see enough here, right? So number one, we're getting that reverse pivot again. Okay, see how our head's going towards the target here, right? So we're going to traverse that. And you see how you're losing your angle of attack here?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we're kind of hitting it out to the right and we're kind of hitting it weak.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to start getting that angle of attack better.
Alright.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do, okay, so we got to get rid of this reverse pivot move here. Okay,
Okay.
we need to start getting over to the side. Let's see here, we got him face on. Let's take a look at this guy, right? Henrik Stenson, I think it is. Right, watch his head.
His head hasn't moved that much.
Yeah, so, you know, if the head doesn't need to move, it shouldn't move. Does that make sense? So if I had, you know, basically your head up against a line, okay, so look at me. If I had my head up against a line, I may turn just ever so slightly from it, okay, but I don't want to get into the move where I get into it like this, okay, because then we're just kind of, we're not really going to turn our chest very much as we're going to move our arms, right, and then we're going to try to traverse that a little bit, and then we start to get that out to the right. Does that make sense, big guy?
Yep.
Okay, so with that being said, set up for me, big guy. Okay, then we'll grab the driver. Okay, so chin up. There you go, good. All right, so as you take your backswing, there you go, you're getting a little bit too inside. There you go. Okay, now what you want to kind of do, there's your wrist set right there. Okay, we want to drive that club back down. Okay, rotating our chest. Okay, then we come on through. Okay, big guy?
Yep.
Let's try that one more time, okay, so we get a good feel for it, right? So here we go. Good. Better. Okay? So we don't want to get the head moving forward. We want to kind of keep it on that line. It may move back just a little bit, and we're good with that, okay? It's going to come right back to that line, okay?
But it's not going to be like this.
Correct. Then we're just getting our body in a bad position, okay? All right, let's go grab a tee, right? Go grab the driver. Okay, give you some good understanding, because I guarantee you, if we're doing that with the irons, we're probably doing that with the woods, right? Okay? Good, 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 good. Here we go. We're going to throw you a couple balls here. Okay? I want you to go ahead and hit a few for me, and I'm going to videotape this one on the old iPad. For whatever reason, this is not really working the best.
I think I remember this tee was apparently too tall.
Gosh, shutter, I guess we want to do that frames per second. All right, big guy. Go ahead and tee it on up here for me. Let me videotape this one for us so we can get a good look. Okay. Give me just a sec.
Probably gonna hit this like an iron. I don't really know how to hold it.
Let's just take a swing. I think our grip's a little wonky, that's for sure. All right, so first and foremost, right? If I said, hey, does that feel like a powerful stance to you? Probably not, right? See how narrow our feet are, right? Remember, with the driver, we want to be aggressive and turn behind it, right? With this, it's kind of like, we're kind of like this and kind of on top of it. Is that how we feel?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so other thing is, as we kind of move along here, let's kind of get that here. As we move along here,
Notice how my head doesn't move that much with the driver, I think. Kind of. But with the irons, it moves a lot more.
yeah,
Why?
you know, I think there's some, I think we're trying to get a little too much. I think the understanding of the driver is a little bit easier for us, right?
I've been good with the driver my entire golfing. Like, the entire time I've ever played golf, I've always been good with the driver.
So there again,
Oh, it moves a lot.
yep, so we can see the head's moving into it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is your head goes forward, and then basically what happens is you stop rotating your chest and you just kind of lift your arms. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so first things first, we got to get rid of that reverse pivot. Okay. Let me see how we're doing with our hands. Okay. So here's the other thing. You can kind of see your shoulders have turned about halfway and really haven't gotten a wrist hinge really. Okay. And we're kind of selling ourselves short on that shoulder turn. Okay. So let's kind of work on that a little bit too. Yeah, because you're getting all your weight here. You know you can't keep turning back there, right? Because you got to get something to come back and go around for us, right? So you kind of pause and hold, and then you stay right there. And then you jump back behind it because you early release it. Does that make sense, big guy?
Yeah.
All right, do you see that? All right, and that all starts with two things. One, with our head going too far back or too far forward in our swing, and our hands are kind of running away from us a little bit, allowing that to kind of happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions right there, big guy? All right. Let's get working on it. Okay, so first things first, okay? Let's not worry about the tee or anything like that. Let's start worrying about emotion here, okay? And then we'll get to it. So what I'm going to have you do, and I'm sure I probably had you do this before. If not, we'll do it again, okay? I want you to take a swing, and here, let me demonstrate for you, big guy. Okay, so we got to get rid of the reverse pivot, number one, okay? That's going to help us with a lot of things, okay? With our irons and everything like that, right? I think what we were talking about is that you're easier with the driver than you are with the irons. I think because what happens is you know you have to hit down on it, so you start to get your head really ahead of it, right? So I think that's what you kind of do, where you know with the driver you got to keep it somewhat behind, so you keep that head relatively still, but still get it into the zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we want to kind of do for this drill, okay, is I want you to swing back, turn your head to the camera, okay, and I want you to tell me and notice where you feel your weight, okay? It should be over here, okay? That's what we need to kind of do. It's here, right? And then I want you to swing through and let your head come through. That's the natural motion of the golf swing, okay? Right now, it would be more like this for you, right? And then coming back through. Does that make sense? So you've got to get the feeling of kind of turning away from it, right? Kind of losing a little bit of the control, okay, to get that feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do about 5 or 6 of these.
I've done
Okay.
that a bunch. I've came through, and I've done this, and I've like fallen backwards, but I always try to play it off, and it usually works. My dad never
Okay.
tells me about it.
Well, I think the reason that we may be falling back is a couple of things, right? Our head's going forward and reversing everything. The other thing is if we can get our stance a little bit wider, we can turn around that base, right? Instead of kind of being a little bit, woo.
So what, kind of like this instead
Yeah,
of like this?
yep, shoulder. So here's the big thing we're going to find out about that, Ron. I want you to give me the stance that you're used to, okay? Give me your stance that you're used to, that you do, okay? Now, one thing we've got to work with this stance, okay, is our feet are quite, all right, so this guy has got to be back, okay, this guy's got to be forward, very good, okay, now give me a swing, okay, and give me an honest assessment. Do you feel powerful in that position,
No.
right? So why will we have that stance, right? Does that make sense, big guy?
Yeah.
So I want you to give me a little bit wider stance, okay, wider than normal. Okay, real wide. Let's get Yeah.
I can't do
fine.
the splits, so I can't go super.
I got you, but we're gonna go there, okay? Now I want you to give me a swing, okay? And I want you to tell me if you feel powerful from that position.
I feel a lot more like wobbly because I'm not used to it being so wide, but
Do you,
yeah,
you
I
feel more
like
weight
it.
transfer is what you're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. We still want to narrow up that stance a little bit, okay? So let's find a happy medium in between those two, right? Where it feels like it's shoulder width apart. Good?
Probably
Okay.
like this, yeah.
All right, so we're going to keep swinging. Give me a couple swings until we find the most powerful setup for our swing. Yeah. Now, how was that?
It was slow, but I felt a little bit more powerful than before. It was just slow because I've got to get used to the stance too.
The big thing I see
Stance
now
is
is that
different.
you're moving your weight forward instead of with the narrow stance. You have to reverse it back to stay in balance. Does that make sense?
Backwards. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Now square off that right foot for me. That's got to be right. There you go. The left foot can be turned out just a bit. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're traversing that field. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Good. Do we feel more powerful there?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. So that's a start for what we need to kind of do with our stance. Okay? Now, with our setup that we just created, right, that wide stance, or wider stance, let's go with that. Right foot's got to be turned in. Okay? That's one thing we're going to have to work on quite a bit. Okay, good. All right, that guy's got to be squared off right here. Okay, good. This guy can be a quarter of a turn out right here. And I'm good with that, okay? That's gonna allow your hip to rotate and turn. But if I have that foot in a bad position, then you're gonna kind of probably slide or get turned back just a little too much, okay? Good job. All right, so with that being said, with that setup, that stance, I want you to give me 5 or 6 swings where we're looking at the camera and then looking at the screen, okay? What we're trying to get rid of now is the reverse pivot that we have, okay?
Okay.
Very good. Good. Let's go again. Looking at the screen, looking at the camera, right? Turn to the camera. Yep, good. Again. Turn back and look at the camera and hold it for me. Okay, there we go. There you go, big guy. Now, our hands are getting way, see how deep they are here? Okay? It's going to be a little too much, so we need to kind of be here, okay? Hands more in line with that, okay? Because you're getting the club just a little bit to the inside, okay? Good job. Let's go again. Good. You notice how you're not falling back on your trail foot now? Okay?
Yeah.
Square up that right foot for me. Thanks, buddy. Mm-hmm. Once again.
Feels weird, but it's helping.
Yeah, it takes time, right? It's a new movement pattern, right?
It's so wide, so I feel like I'm stretching out like this. I don't know
Mhm.
why.
That's good. That's a
Like
good
I'm supposed
feeling,
to.
right? Now make sure we got that right foot back behind our left. All right, so when I look down the line here, right? Yep, make sure this guy's back just a little bit for us. There you go, okay? There we go, okay. Give me a couple swings, looking at the camera, looking at the screen. There you go, good. Mm-hmm. Look back to the camera and hold it for me, okay? Where do you notice your weight?
And the back foot.
Good. Okay, that's where we need to kind of feel it, right? We're loading back behind that ball, turning behind it, okay? Good job. Okay, what's our grip doing? We holding it in the fingers?
Yeah.
Okay.
My fingers are locked.
Now, the one thing I'm probably going to suggest to you is that we're probably going to need to figure out either getting this grip a little bit bigger for you if you're going to choke down, right? Because it's probably a little too thin where it's at, or we probably need to modify the length of that club. Does that make sense? right?
It was my dad's club originally. He had another one that I liked that was probably to here, so it was a little shorter, but it was heavier. It felt very heavy. This felt lighter, so I took this one. He changed the shaft on the other one, so now I have this one, but it's longer, so I gotta get used to it. And yeah, like you said, the grip might be a little thick for.
I think us getting used to that is not probably the best idea. We probably need to get fitted for something like that, especially if we're gonna use the small mini driver and stuff like that. It's probably once we start to cut on it, it's gonna start stiffening up the shaft a little bit on us, right? And the other thing is with you choking down so much on the driver, right? You're gonna start getting that closer into the palm, and that's why we have this big thick part back over here to really hold that pad underneath. Does that make sense? Right, so it's gonna get your grip a little wonky then. So that's why I think it's very important that we start to figure out, you know, next step for us is probably getting a club fitting or something like that, or getting a club that's gonna match you instead of choking down, right? And getting something that works a little bit better for you. I think it's gonna really help later on down the road, right?
My grip affixed the other mini. He put a new grip on it, so I could see if maybe I can or my dad can buy a thicker grip, and my grandpa can do it without paying somebody to do it when he comes down though.
Okay.
So I'll get it fixed. I just don't.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're getting that in the pad, underneath the pad, and keeping it there, and not getting it in the palm, because then the face is gonna get really wonky. Does that make sense? Okay, good guy. So, with that being said, okay.
I have another driver that's small. It's a big-headed Wilson. I want a big head driver, like a driver.
Okay.
But the head is bigger, so it's harder to
Okay.
get around, so I usually slice it. But
Okay.
I will get some practice with it.
So here's the other question I got with the driver, since this is our kind of concern here, right? When we tee it up, what is our tee height usually? Is it kind of this high? Is it kind of low?
It's maybe a little lower,
Okay.
a hair.
Okay.
Pretty
Okay.
much.
Well, let's grab a different tee for us. How about something like this? Would this work? Be a little bit better height for you?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. Let's try that. Okay.
I usually, for some reason, have the ball lined up with the driver because I feel like because I've done it before, if it's too high and I hit it, I feel like I usually hit it sky high and then it comes right back down right in front of me. So I just don't want that to happen.
Okay. That's probably, that has a little
Yeah,
something to do with the early
that's good.
release and probably ball placement a little bit, but we're going to get that fixed too.
Yep.
Very good. All right, big guy.
That's good though.
Good. Okay, give me a little wider stance. There you go. Good. Okay, we'll turn this off here. Okay, give me a couple practice swings where we look at the camera and then at the screen and get the world of feel, right? We've got to feel where that weight's going, okay? Got to feel that weight turning to our right side and then back to our left, not vice versa. Good. Feel that wider stance, right? Good. 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 Okay. Good. At a time and rate that's appropriate for you, step on in and hit the ball when you're ready, okay?
All right.
You left.
Left. Jesus.
You're on the right?
Yep.
I got you. All right. Do me a favor, let's move that up in our setup just a bit for me, okay?
So like closer to my
The
heel.
lead foot, yes sir, yes sir. Closer to our lead foot, or you know, your distance away from the ball, I think is pretty good. We'll see right there. But I just want to make sure that our ball location is up in our setup. About one ball inside of our left heel. Good.
And then hit when I'm ready.
Yeah, hit whenever you're ready, big guy. You're doing great. Keep it up.
Wow, high.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that bad though. I would say.
Give me a couple swings there, kind of work on that. We'll take a look at this one on the video. All right, big guy. That sounded a lot better.
I also gotta get used to the stance and the finger grip and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep, feeling the fingers, right? Not.
Probably vice versa a little bit.
It's okay.
I'm
We're learning, big guy. We're learning. We are learning.
Yep.
Yep. Right. So we're still getting on in there, right? That's why our angle of attack's getting so far down. Right, now we got to kind of lose that angle. You're doing a good job of keeping the head behind the line as we come through here, but we want to kind of start with that. Does that make sense, big guy? All right. So come on over here. Let's do a little drill here. Let's put the club down just for a second and try to keep getting this feel, okay? So I want you to kind of get on over here against the wall. Okay, we're going to get here. Right, I'm going to feel myself turn back. You see how I keep a little space away from that wall, and then as I come through, I'm back behind it, okay? So once again, here, as I turn, I get a little bit behind it, right? Just a little bit, okay? And as I come through. Right now, you'd be like this, crashing into the wall. Does that make sense?
breaking the neck.
Yeah, we'd have a hard time with that one, right? So let's go ahead and put our arms across our chest right there, okay? Head against the wall, okay? Make a back swing for me. Yeah, let your head come off, just a little bit. There you go. Now come on through. Yeah, okay, that's more of what we need to kind of do, buddy. Here we go. So watch. Don't be so, you're ball bound, I can tell. Right? Are you trying to keep your eye on the ball? No. Terrible idea. Let's go again. Okay? Good. Head against that wall for me. Good. Turn back. Good. Much better. Now come through. Yep. Good. Again. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Ball doesn't move. So we don't need to keep staring at it, okay? All right, so I think that's where our issue is just a little bit, is we've probably been taught to keep our eye on the ball. Okay, so what I kind of see here a little bit, right, and tell me if I'm right, now I might be wrong, okay, is that we kind of like, I got to keep my eye on that ball. What happens to my head, right? It's not going to move for us, okay? So you can kind of, we're going to keep a general sense of where that is, okay? But I don't want to kind of keep my eye on it, right? It's just going to be kind of turn, right? That's why I'm getting you to kind of look at the cameras to get you used to getting away from the ball, so ball bound, right? And then coming through, down and through and coming through. Now, we're not going to be doing this, right, in the golf swing, right? But as I go, you can see that my head kind of turns back just a little bit. I know that the ball is over here in this general area, right? I'm not going to have the eyesight to see this thing as it's moving at whatever speed it is as it moves off the face. I'm not going to actually see it. I'm just going to feel it more than anything, right? But the big thing is if I kind of, and I'll close my eyes here, right? You go. Okay? Into the trash we go. But I still was able to hit the ball. Does that make sense?
Get it to you, it probably would have went better.
Yeah, it will.
It was off the ground.
A little bit, but here we go again. Okay? Not the best of strike, and I'm going to admit that, okay? But the big thing is that the ball didn't move on me, okay? Right? So what we want to kind of do, right, is I want to kind of feel like my head's up against the wall right there. I turn, okay, there's where I want to kind of be, and then driving down and through, right? So if you kind of look face on for me, big guy, step right on over here, face on. Okay, so watch my head, right? Kind of moves back behind it, right? Driving down and through, staying behind it, and then coming through. Does that make sense? Okay. There we go, big guy.
These are probably the two best off-the-ground driver shots I've seen in person.
Well, we don't want to hit the driver off the ground, but if we did, right, we'd be out in the middle of the fairway. It'd probably be a cut. All right, big guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Just don't death stare at the ball.
no, we don't need to death stare it, right? You know, once I put my cap on here, right? Right. As I put my cap on, right? As I start to turn, you see how my cap kind of moves, the bill of my cap moves this way?
Yeah.
I don't want it to go like this.
Okay.
Does that make sense, big guy?
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. You're doing great. Keep it up.
I'm trying to practice. So like that.
So here we go. Set
I'm
up
not
again
like
for me.
looking at the ball.
Set up for me. Yeah. Bring it on back. Okay. See where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you got your chin up just a little bit so you can allow that shoulder to turn. Let's go again. Yeah, better. Okay. Here, what I'm going to kind of do, this line right here. There you go. Just kind of move back just a little bit off of it, right? Feel yourself move back. There you go. Okay, again. Yeah. Okay, good. So now we're turning behind the ball. Do that one more time for me. Where do you notice all your weight now?
In the back foot.
Right, it's all on that back side, right? You might have a little pressure here on the inseam right there, right? But we don't have a lot of weight on the front, right? Does that make
Only
sense?
a little bit right here, but that's to like keep me standing. If I don't have it there, I'm gonna fall over. So yeah,
One
most of it's right here though.
Okay. Do it again one more time for me. I want to see something. There you go. Okay. So we like to get the heel up a little bit.
Yep.
Is that what we do? Okay. So what we want to kind of do with our timing a little bit is we want to make sure that we get that planted back on the ground before we start to come down. Does that make sense? Right? So it's a little timing mechanism. I love it. Keep it up.
Ever since my dad taught me how to do it and he made me consistently do it, it's kind of I just do it naturally now.
Great. Great. I love that. It's something that the modern golfer has gone away from, but to be honest with you, I think it's a great way to get our timing.
If I don't do it, I'm gonna end up like this, and it's gonna be all weird and funky. I like naturally do this.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm fine with that.
Don't feel right if I don't do this. It just doesn't feel right.
Okay. I don't want to take that away, but I do need you to kind of turn behind the ball a little bit, okay? We need to get rid of that reverse pivot a little bit, okay?
So go swing or practice swing.
Give me a swing. There you go. Good. Good. Okay. Now the big thing I can see here that's helping us, right, we'll get to the rest of it, right, is now your low point is behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, not ahead of it. All right, so our head's going to kind of dictate what that kind of does from time to time, right?
Yep.
All right, so two big things that we're kind of focusing on here, right? One, a little bit wider stance so we can really feel aggressive with our turn, right? And the other one is making sure that we're turning our head behind that line, right? Or at least not getting it so far ahead.
And not doing the reverse pivot.
Correct. We don't want to do that, right? We want to feel that turn behind the ball. Okay, good stuff. All right. Oh, plays along from there.
Strike one. I bring it up and it started slipping in my hand.
Okay, that's our grip. All right. Where's that head at?
Big reverse pivot.
Right. Right. I guarantee you, if I said, hey, where's your weight at this, you'd probably feel a lot more in your front, right? Okay. So we got to work on that quite a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing I can see is that you're not really allowing your right shoulder to turn back behind you because we're getting our head in front of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me try a little different way of going about it, right? We really want to try to, I really want to try to get that move out, okay?
Habit now, I gotta get rid of the habit.
Yeah, it's a habit, for sure, okay? I'd like to see where, and you're just kind of losing your angle there, right? Good. Okay. So let's let's take our driver, put it across our shoulder plane. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to kind of reverse this on you just a little bit. Here you go, big guy.
That way?
Yeah, there we go. So we're going to get the longer end, the butt end over here, okay? So what I'm going to have you do here, yep. So we've done this 1,000 times. We'll do it 1,000 times more, right?
I do this sometimes on the course. I'll do this to aim, and I'll do this, and
Okay.
I'll just like use this to aim when I have this lined up where I want it to aim.
Okay.
I'll put it down.
So let's kind of do this, okay? Let's kind of stay there, okay, for me, please. All right, I'm going to put this right here. Very good. Okay, so we're going to turn and we're going to get that to match up to the one on the ground, okay? Okay, a little bit too far down. There you go, much better, okay? So when you turn so far down, do it again. Do the real down one that you did, right? You feel this crunch in this side right here, right? That's going to be tough for us to get out of that position a little bit, okay? So just feel like you're turning a little bit more level. There you go, good, okay? Good. Once again. There you go. All right. There you go. Okay. Feel yourself loading up onto that right side for me, big guy. There again. There you go. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Good. Good. There you go. Very good. Very good, my man. Okay, once again, do it again. Hold it for me. Good. Okay, feel we're back behind it. Now let's do this with this guy here, okay? So set up for me. Let's do what we're doing. You're doing great. Yeah, okay. So what we want to kind of do is we want to kind of set ourselves up in this station right here. We want to get the old man to kind of place a stick or a club right here next to you, and you want to feel like you're kind of turning behind that, okay? Good. Very
and
good.
moving my head for a minute, not to reverse pivot.
Yeah. And I think that comes, there's a couple things, right? I think that's because we're getting our left shoulder so far down that it gets us like this. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So we want to kind of feel like we're turning a little bit more level with the driver, okay? Not so far down, okay? Here we go again. Yep. There we go. Good work. Right? Good.
Now I feel like I'm in the habit of moving my head this way now.
That's good. That's good. We're turning it back behind. We're changing it. Right? Good job. Okay. Do you notice how much easier it is to get our head there when we don't have the... Now do this for me. Get the left shoulder really far down.
This shoulder?
Yeah. Go down.
Like this?
No, set up normally, and then do that motion. Where's our head go?
Backwards.
It goes here, right? Right? So it traverses, right? So one thing is that we're getting our left shoulder too far down. See what happens to my head? Right? I want to feel like I'm swinging a little bit more level with the driver. And now I don't have this crunch in this side, and now I can get that head to turn with my neck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep doing that for just a minute, okay, big guy?
Okay.
Okay, doing great. Takes time, my man, doing great. Good. Feel like we're turning level. Yeah, there you go. Good work. Yes. Okay. All right, turn it back. There you go. Good. Try to get that level to the ground. There you go. Let's get that right hip turning a little bit more back behind us, just a smidge. There you go. There you go. Go again. Okay, good. One more time for me, please. I'm going to kind of videotape this. One more. There you go. Let me tape this one a little bit. Let's take a look. We'll compare these two, okay? What we're trying to do, okay, big guy? Any questions right now? All right, so I want you to give me a turn. Go ahead. Yeah. Good. So let's take a look at this gentleman compared to this guy. Get out of there, Adam. Beat it. Okay, so let's just put a couple lines here for reference.
Work. Come on.
I know. Technology's great when it works, right?
Yep. They make technology for it to not even work.
I know. You call it TikTok. Just joking.
They call it the drama group on it, online social media.
Okay, so you see where we're at right there?
Yeah.
Okay, left shoulder's probably a little bit too far down, head getting into our line, right?
I mean, it's not too bad. Not trying to get myself out of it, but it's not as bad as where it was on my eye.
Yeah, I mean, so it's getting better, right?
It's getting better.
Correct. Whoa, so much better, right? You see how you're moving off that line now?
Not even close to the line.
All right, so let's kind of come on over here and let's take a look at some big guys, okay? And let's take a look at their head. All right, let's just take a look at a few of these guys. Take a look at
I forgot, who was the guy that won the...
JJ Spawn?
No, it was the one Sunday.
Oh,
It was-
Keegan Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley.
Keegan. Yeah, old Keegan. So, I like JT. I think he's got about the best form for a golf swing, personally. I'm sure I could be debated on that by a number of people, but it is what it is.
I bet 90% of the people are going to say, no, it's Tiger Woods.
Well, they wouldn't be terribly wrong.
He was not bad. He's definitely one of the best golfers in history, but he's not the best in history.
So let's zone in on JT's head here, okay?
Yeah, it goes back.
Alright, see how it goes back? Goes down a little bit too, okay? Which is kind of a power move for him. He's really loading into that right side. Right, and as he comes through, you see him up against that wall, and boom, he backs up off that wall a little bit to launch it up, okay?
How does he not roll his ankle? He's like this.
His
foot.
Yeah.
Right foot.
He's just, now he gets his right heel up a lot sooner than most and gets those hips firing through, which is just a move that he's perfected, okay?
It's crazy how like explosive he is. He goes through that so fast. He's here, and then he's up the next second. He goes really far down.
Yeah, if I had this ankle right there, I'd be snapping that too, right?
I would be on the ground crying already.
Correct. Right, but the big thing is that we want to zone in on, right, is look, yeah, we want to load it, look at the head, right, but look how he's got everything loaded back behind the ball, okay? He's really ready to launch that up into the air, okay?
That's why he drives 300 yards.
Yeah.
I think.
Right. He's got a lot of good stuff going on, right? But the big thing is he's keeping his head back behind the ball, all right? Let's jump out of this guy, we'll go to another guy, take a look. Let's, we'll go with,
I don't remember who he was, but he was like, he played golf like, when it was famous in 19, or like 2000, I don't really remember the years, but it's still like 2000 to 2010, he was a lefty. Well, he was the right, but he played left. I forgot his name. And he had long blonde hair. Forgot his name. My grandpa knew him.
John Daly?
I think.
Ernie
I
Els?
think that's him. John Daly, I think.
Okay.
But he said he was like the best golfer of all time.
Well, are you talking about Jack Nicklaus?
I think, yeah, Jack Nicklaus.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Now I remember, yeah, it's Jack Nicklaus. I was playing as him in a golfing game.
Yep,
I was
yep.
like,
He was definitely one of the greats, him and Tiger.
he played with wooden clubs when those were the only clubs made. They were wooden. He played with them.
You make it sound so long ago. I love it. I love it. Anyway, so let's watch Colin Morikawa here. Okay. Right, so he's moving his head away from that line and back behind it.
So you're supposed to get this foot kind of up when you're swinging. Because he's doing it too. He brings his foot up.
Yeah, he's pushing off of his right side, all that weight that he's loaded into that right side, he's pushing off aggressively, right? And you can see the hips are really opening up and turning, and the head staying behind the ball. Okay, we could see with you, you're getting your head ahead of that ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the big thing we got to kind of work on is making sure we get rid of that reverse pivot to start off.
Another reason why I think I'm not so powerful is everyone else, they do this. They have it like this. I'm up here. I don't bring it back far enough. Everyone's like this.
Well,
Thomas did it, he did it, they're like that.
yeah, the problem here, as we look here at so we'll address that as well, right?
Yeah.
Watch your hand motion, okay?
I still haven't broken my wrist yet.
We haven't broken our wrists. Let's watch Colin here as he goes. Right, he gets a little bit wide, okay, but here's where he starts to hinge, okay? Hinge, hinge, hinge. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so he's in a really good position. He doesn't get the shaft parallel to the ground, but just short of parallel to the ground, okay? And now, what we've got to understand, right, if I kind of go through here, let's talk about, all right, so if I go here, I'm just going to kind of put a line kind of there, give you an idea. Okay, first one's just slightly off, but it'll give us a good reference point. All right, so you can see the positions that he has it on his backswing there, correct? Okay, now watch that shaft go underneath all of these lines, okay? Under that one, over or under, whatever you want to call it.
It's kind of hard to get under that one, but yeah,
Right, so what we want to kind of feel, right, is that our wrist hinge needs to match up to our shoulder turn, right? And then where you're going to get forward shaft lean, okay, is back here because you set your wrist correctly and you're turning, is where you're going to get this forward shaft lean and return back, okay? For you, okay, as we can kind of see here, right? Okay, so let's take a look at our shoulders here. So at this point, our shoulders are kind of about a quarter of a turn, right? Our wrist set should be somewhere in this section. See how that matches up?
yeah.
Okay, now let's keep on going here. So you fully turned your shoulders now.
Yeah.
Okay, your shoulders are completely turned. They're almost 90 degrees. Okay, you're starting to get the shaft up, but what you're doing is you're trying to lift it to get in position.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see we're here. Okay, let's keep on going. All right, now you've got really no wrist set. All right, now it's just all lift.
Yeah.
Right, and watch as we go, that club's going to go on the other side because we didn't get a wrist set. Okay, it'll start to make sense the more we start thinking about it. Okay, so as you can see, you're starting to go above that line. So we're starting to lose our wrist angle that we didn't really set to begin with. Okay, right, and now we've really lost all that angle. We're just trying to hold on at this position and then just trying to throw the club at the ball. Is that kind of the feeling that we have a little bit? Okay. So, first things first, okay, is that we got to get rid of that reverse pivot, as I said.
Yep.
Okay. Now the other thing is that we need to start getting those shoulders and hands to match up. Okay. And it doesn't matter if it's a 3/4 swing or a half swing for what it feels like for you. Okay. But we need to get your shoulders and wrists to match up.
Yeah.
Okay. We can't have, you know, this guy, right? When you're like this, right, and you've got kind of this look right here. Okay. Your arms are dictating your turn at this point, not working together. Okay. Just kind of see something else here. Okay. Through. So here's the thing I want to kind of look at, right? So if I kind of explain to you a little bit, the distance between your hands and your waist are a certain distance, correct? Okay. As I get to here, do you think that distance is greater or less than the distance we started off with?
Less.
No, it's extremely more, isn't it? Wouldn't you say this is probably a foot or a foot and a half now?
Oh, yeah, now I see it.
Right? We probably started off with maybe 6 inches, and now we're off and away. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so let me just kind of explain that to you just a little bit. Okay? So if I kind of had a chain on the waist right here, okay, I want to kind of keep that relatively same, okay, with my body turn, okay. Once I start to get my hands away, right, that's a lot greater distance, right?
Yeah.
Look where my shoulders are. See how they've already turned? I've got no wrist set, and I'm probably a little bit inside, okay. So we want to kind of feel like if I had a chain on my waist, at this point, it's going to stay relatively the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be the same. So once I get my hands just past my right foot, I should probably have that wrist set a little bit better. Okay, so if you look here, my shoulders and my shaft are matching up better than this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so here, there, up, that's as far as you need to go. Now you've got your shaft in a good position and we don't have a lot of turn. Does that make sense? Does that visually make sense?
Yep.
Now when I turn, you can see the club falls towards me, right? And now if I keep my head behind it and launch up, then I'll get the desired impact. Does that make sense, big guy, as far as the, okay. So, part 2 of what we need to kind of work on here, okay, is that I need you to kind of get where your hands are just maybe, because it's the driver, the hands are going to be maybe just to the outside of the right foot, okay? And what I want to kind of do is this, and then up. See where my shaft is now?
Yeah.
Okay, for you it's kind of like, and it's up over here. Does that make sense, big guy?
Yeah.
So come on over here, my man. Any questions right now, my man?
Nope.
I know there's a lot going on here, but I think we're on the right track. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do here, we're going to get our hands right past our right foot. Okay, good. You can kind of move over just a little bit. There you go. Give me a wider stance. Feel like you got a little driver stance there. Good. Okay, so if I put you next to a wall, right, with the original swing, you'd be into it, right? Okay.
Action on the wall.
Right, there, there. Now jump out. Go ahead, jump out. Look where your shaft is now. Okay, now you're getting that load that you were talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, big guy. Okay, so let's set up again for me. Okay, you good? All right, so we want to get it just so right there. Okay, you can scooch over just a little bit, give yourself a little room. Okay, no, come on back. And there you go. Okay, so give me a couple turns. Okay. Much better. Okay, so when you see the video on this, you'll see that your shaft is in a much better position as far as angle of attack.
My original swing, I already know. I can just tell the difference. Before I was like, yeah, out. I'm gonna be hitting the wall.
Right, so it's probably going to feel like you're lifting the club a little bit, right? But what we're really getting you to do is get your wrists and shoulders, your wrist hinge and your shoulder turn to match up. And that's going to give you a much more powerful position than everything kind of running away. Does that make sense, big guy?
Yep.
All right. Give me a couple swings with that. for me, please. Okay.
Like swings or just bring it?
No, no, just work on that backswing for me, big guy. Good. All right. Good. Okay, good. So let's take a look at that. Okay. All right, see how your shaft is in a better position?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we're trying to go for. Now you could probably give yourself a little bit more of a hinge or a turn, right? And get that shaft maybe a little bit more, but I'm fine with where it's at, okay? Because we can see with the other ones. All
My
right.
arms are way stretched out.
Yeah, yeah, your arms are dictating your backswing instead of vice versa. All right, see how the hands, you'd be going slam into that wall, right?
Also, this arm is supposed to be bent. And I'm still like this to here. This arm's still straight. It should be bent.
Well, we want to kind of get, we want to kind of get it into the side, but look where the top of that shaft is now. It's just kind of sticking up in the air.
That's way up here.
Yeah, yeah. So now we're getting it much better position, okay? Because now, as I said, we're getting our wrists and shoulders to match up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, much better position. All right. So now as you come down, all right, we got to get into that lead side, start going, but you're going to do better. Okay. All right, big guy. Let's kind of. I know there's a lot. I know we didn't hit a lot of balls per se, but I think we need to kind of work more on our positioning.
Well, I think I'd rather, learn the positioning in the hands than hit too many balls.
Right. I mean, the balls, hitting the ball is kind of like a treat or a reward for what we've done right? So we got to kind of work on these things. So let's kind of back up here and let's talk about a few things that we want to kind of do for drills. All right. So let's set up again for me. Great. Get your right foot inside of that. Right. So one thing that we talked about, right, was making sure we get a little bit wider stance with the driver.
Yeah.
Okay. Second part is I need that right foot squared up. Okay. There you go. Good job. This guy could be out a quarter of a turn. Give him just a quarter of a turn. There you go. Good. Okay. Now I'm going to put this right here. We're going to put the club across our chest. That's good. Good. Yep. Turn. All right. Feel that weight on that back side. You feel that?
Yeah.
Good. Let's go again. Yep. Better. Okay. Once again. All right. Good. So remember, left shoulder's not going to go down so much as it is going to go a little bit across. Good work. Good work. Okay, good. All right. So that's going to be drill number 1. Okay. Drill 2. Okay. We need to get up against the wall. Okay, some kind of edge of the wall right here. Okay. And as we turn, feel like our head kind of gets a little bit off that wall, not a lot. Okay. And as we come through, that head's going to kind of stay behind that wall. Okay, you're going to really feel your hips rotate and turning open like we see with all the other guys, right? And getting that foot like this if you need to, okay?
Yep.
All right, so that's drill number 2 for us. All right, number
Drill number
3, right?
The wall drill.
Now we can get a wall, we can get our golf bag if we need to, right? That's what we used to do as kids in high school, right? Is that the coach would get the old bag right there, right? And I just want to kind of get where my hands are probably just over the edge of my right foot here, okay? The iron's just going to be more over the right foot. But it's going to be just a little bit maybe outside. We'll give you just a little comfort, right? But I want to kind of work on here, right? And then just turning up, okay? You can see that everything's going to match together, okay? It may feel a little bit shorter and compact, which is good, okay? The other thing that we may notice is it may feel like it's more of a lift, right? To get that club in a good position, right? See where I'm at there?
Yeah.
Okay? Instead of a drag into the wall. Does that make sense, big guy?
Yep.
Questions that you have for me?
Alright.
Okay, so I want you
Practice the drills at home.
Yeah.
When I play golf, I will remember these things, and hopefully I will hit the ball better and play just as good.
Absolutely. So when we do this drill, make sure we have Dad kind of holding our head, making sure that we're turning behind that, right? And not getting into it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, big guy?
Yep.
All right. No questions? Ready for your prescription? You're good to go? All right, man. What do you got planned for the day?
Not much, because my